Of course, there's been a death in the leadership of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis, and he passed. He's 88, was 88 at the time, and he died of a stroke, and he had some ammonia problems. And Bahamians, this is a sad time for the Catholic Church. We want to express our condolences to the Catholic Church and its members. It's a rough time for them. There's going to be a lot of soul searching as to what the future of the church would look like. And from all the reports that I've been getting over the weekend, it would appear as if there was a lot of positive comments about the, the Pope who just passed. And I think we need to look at these things, and leaders have a lot of influence. And I said to myself, well, then, if we're going to accept what is being said about him, and you had other leaders who got in and praised him and say what a humanitarian he was, how he looked out for people who were less fortunate than himself. It is good when leaders can do that, because a lot of people out there, Bahamians, are suffering. They are just forgotten. When people get elected and they have power and authority in their hand, they forget about the average individual. However, we understand Pope Francis was able to have this kind of relationship with the common individuals. And so it remains to be seen who will be his successor in, as called the Bishop of Rome. And it is a rough time for the church. There are many problems that need to be dealt with, but it takes strong leadership, Bahamians. We need that kind of strong leadership in our own country to deal with issues. The leadership is very, very important, and people tend to look for their leaders, to their leaders for leadership. And the same would apply to any church. And of course, I'm sure that other church leaders, the Anglican Church, the Baptist Church, the Methodist Church, of course, I'm sure they will have some comments to make in relation to what has happened to the Pope of the Catholic Church. And what will be the future of the church in the Bahamas? That is something we have to look at. And of course, around the world, what kind of events or things are going to occur with the new Pope who will ascend the throne, St. Peter's throne in Rome. The Catholic Church has played a lot of uh, events and influences in nations in Europe and around the world. We have that in our history, that the Catholic Church has played a major role. And this particular Pope was there for about 12 years. 12 is a complete number, Bahamians. 12 signifies completion. He's been there for 12 years, and he has made a remarkable success in terms of his papacy. And I think we need to look at what he has done and set an example. I think sometimes we forget the positive things that people do. We tend to dwell on the negative things. And so people forget, but they have to be reminded. But a lot of things were said about the Pope. And we're going to play a clip right now that we have here so that we can have a better understanding of the Pope of the Catholic Church. Go ahead, Mr. Producer. Yes, that's a very interesting report, Bahamians, in relation to the Pope. And he touched people. And there were times he would break away from his security detail to touch as many as he possibly could. And you will find that when leaders rise to the top, they tend to not have anything to do with the average person. Those people out there, they want to feel a part of something. Bahamians. Same thing in our country. And so they look to their leaders. They look for people to help them, to assist them, to encourage them, to inspire them. And this was the kind of leader that you had in the Catholic Church. And he left a mark. Now, whether the leaders of the world, they're fighting there in Ukraine, the Russians and the people of Ukraine, and of course, you have problems in uh, with the Israelis and Hamas people. And you have to ask yourself, what is wrong with our leaders not following the example that the Pope himself was setting? Why is it that we continue to have these conflicts when he has met with many of them, talked to them, communicated with them what his message was? And yet, still, these leaders go and do something else different. And when war breaks out, Bahamians, the average Bahamian is the average person is the one who's going to suffer the most. This has been happening all around the world. You see people running with their mega uh, bundle and people running for safety. Bahamians, this is what continues to happen. Where's the peace that the Pope was working toward? He wanted to see a peaceful society. But yet there are those who seem to be hell bent on creating war. Of course, we can open the lines for you to comment. You may want to send condolences to the Catholic Church. I know it's a difficult time that you never get used to it, Bahamians. It always affects people differently. And when it comes to religion, and particularly there are people having lost their religious leaders, it takes on a different effect on people. And so it's important that we understand that because this is going to have implications not only for the Catholic Church, but for the world as a whole. What impact would happen? What changes will be made? How are we going to move from where we are now? And of course, he was very unique himself from where he came. And of course, the report said he was a bouncer some time ago before he became Pope in the Catholic Church. And so Bahamians, people sometimes forget from whence they came. And of course, he had some problems with his lungs when he was much younger. And it could have had some implications on his health in his later life. But we're thankful for what he was able to do to have an impact on positively on the world. And so I hope these people who are constantly fighting and knocking down one another will follow that example. It seems it's so hard for people to allow others to live. They don't want much, you know. They want to live. They want to be happy. They want to enjoy life. Nobody wants to be running up and down, fearing this, fearing that, having to run for their lives. And it's constantly happening all over the world. Even though he has visited many countries, talked to these leaders, and yet still you have to ask what is wrong with these leaders constantly engaging in war. War does not bring peace, it brings trouble. You saw what happened in Ukraine, the breakup of that country. You saw what happened in Sudan, the breakup of that country. And a number of countries in Africa have had military overthrows. And these things happen over and over and over again. And people just die. They perish. We even had a killing here over the weekend at a fish fry. And we just mentioned that while it's in my head. One man died instantly, and two others were sent to the hospital. One, I think, is in very serious condition. And Bahamians, we have murder as one of our major crime problems in this country. We are losing too many men in this country. We have to do something about that behavior. It seems like we are not moved to act decisively when it comes to various serious issues that affect our nation. Now, when it affects you personally, then of course that's a different kettle of fish. You begin to think differently. Do not wait until it affects you personally before you begin to realize you got a problem. It may be too late for you. It comes a time, baby, when things happen, you can't turn the clock back. You may see some things that you could prevent from happening. Can you prevent it from happening? I think you should try to prevent it from happening. But a lot of things happen in our lives because we be negligent, we be irresponsible. So I have my guest here, Brother Hilo. Welcome to the State of the Nation Issues of National Importance here on national issues and international issues. Of course, you know the Pope of the Catholic Church has passed. It's a very sad occasion for the Church, and we're going to allow people to call and to express sentiments in relation to how they feel about this particular issue. We know the Pope himself has had tremendous influence on nations around the world. I would like to see the leaders of the world follow his example because I've heard a lot of positive things about him over the weekend. It was played over and over and over again. I keep saying to myself, how come our world leaders are not learning? Here is a man teaching and preaching, helping the poor, even cooks his own food, even though he may have people who can prepare his own food for him. But he wanted to keep his life simple, humble person. Go ahead, Brother Isaac.
Yes, good day, Professor. Good day, Bahamas. Yes, good to be here. Thank God for life. And yeah, under these circumstances, it is very unfortunate the passing of Pope Francis, and at the same time, here in the Bahamas, I believe the Catholic family would still be the largest, uh, family within the family of churches. So, and worldwide, they're saying that 1,400,000,000 Catholics on the planet. That's a lot of people to be ministering to or responsible for. But what is like you, Professor? I always uh, found it interesting. Pope Francis' character is a departure from, you could say, not even just in the Catholic Church, any church.
Yes.
He's a different sort of person. The examples that we had or that we could see that was visible, how he was close to the the disenfranchised,
Disenfranchised,
the
yes.
the poor or the
The downtrodden.
downtrodden.
Yes.
He seemed to be more interested in them,
Yes.
and he was that way before they elected him pope. That was a
Okay.
part of why I believe
Yes.
they elected him. Um, they would say it's God's choice, but the cardinals, the
Yes.
cardinals of the church get together and they vote. Um, so for you to be chosen among thousands
Yes.
of persons,
Yes.
something got to be special about you.
Of course.
Something got to be special about you. So I would only hope that his successor and the Catholic Church at large um, would keep the spirit of uh, being interested in the less fortunate, because that's what really it's supposed to be all about in any event.
Yeah, because the vast majority of the people fall into that category.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem as if even though he has met with all of these leaders, what bothers me is the fact that they seem not. They may talk to him, yes, they may have meetings with him, but you have to ask yourself what happens at the end of the meetings. He's been there for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of influence has been there from the day he became Pope of the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
The point is that they have had that direct contact. The president of Russia, the president of Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
But during this recent peace truce they were supposed to have, we had heard on both sides, both leaders accusing one another of breaking the truce.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had some deaths of persons who died needlessly, in my view, because of the decisions of these military leaders to make certain decisions which were detrimental to the welfare of these people. These people are dead. Once they die like that, there's nothing they can do to bring them back. And so we've had people like this all around the world. Why is it then? He's been there for 12 years preaching this to these leaders, and it doesn't seem as if it is getting through to them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Professor,
It's not as if they did not know now. He was setting an example for them. We need to take care of the downtrodden. We need to take care of the poor. We need to take care of the afflicted people. Even as they said in the report that we played just before you came in, this man would prepare his own food, even though he may have had people,
Mm-hmm.
servants to serve him and all of that. But he moved away from that. It was his own apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Cook his own supper or dinner, as the case may be. Now, how many who would arise to that kind of authority, and that's a very influential position that he was in, having people at his beck and call. And he decided just push that aside and say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and so on. Go ahead, brother.
Definitely that's what made him uncommon. And like you were saying, for the second time, why aren't people learning from this?
Yes.
See, it's because they're not learning from God.
Okay.
God's serving everybody. We can't even take a breath without him.
That's right.
And Christ said, whoever will be greatest among you must be the servant of them all.
That's correct. Yes.
That's a different type of thinking.
Yes.
That thinking comes out of God.
Yes.
And the Bible is so full of things. What change the subject a little bit, but it's really the same subject. It amazes me, even in the Bahamian public, right?
Yes.
If you read in that Bible, right? Let me put it like this. If I'm reading the Bible with my wicked self and I'm reading on the words on the page, uplifting, it's talking about do good.
Yes.
And not evil. Don't return evil for evil.
Yes.
No tit for tat. Somebody do you wrong, they curse you out, don't curse them back. In other words, I mean, I don't do those things, but the point is, we are human. If you are reading that Bible and it's leading you towards better behavior, I'm amazed at how people just pick it up and say, well, anyway, I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is real. I don't know who to believe in. That's nonsense,
Yes.
Professor.
Yes.
If you observe a man who is, in authority,
Yes.
yet he turns to the side to speak, and you see that he has what they call the common touch.
Right.
My mind goes to Sir Lyndon Binland. Some people may not like that. He's not a perfect person. He was not perfect. He never claimed to be perfect, but he had what many call the common touch.
Yes.
So Lyndon was similar, if I could put it that way. Some people say, oh, no, that's blasphemy. Don't put him close to the Pope. But what I'm saying is, in this one way, please forgive me if anybody is offended, but in this one way, we're talking about being meek,
Yes.
being humble,
Yes.
not being too high and mighty to have a conversation with somebody and just sit and talk and see how they're doing or what's happening with them. not with the window screw up
And
and
they just pass
you just
through.
pass by.
Yes,
You can't have my time.
right.
Not changing your phone number because you get a new lofty
Position.
position.
Yes, that's correct.
Not being inaccessible. No one could talk to you because you don't have time for them. But you
Yeah.
had time for them when you were trying to get their vote.
Your vote.
For those that have a business, you have time for people when you're trying to launch your business and you
That's right.
marketing.
Right.
But when you get, in position now,
Right.
if somebody has a problem with a product, do you just turn them away or you don't have no time for them? So
Or you don't make time for
you
your
don't make
customers.
time for your customers.
Well, we have a lot of that right here in this country where customers are not getting value for the money that they spend. It's something that we need to really work on. And I think when I was listening to all these comments being said about Pope Francis, and my mind ran on it. Here you are with the man up close, personal, direct contact. And you can see in his actions, in his behavior, what you ought to be doing.
Yes.
And yet still, you're meeting with the man, talking with him on the phone, talking to him in meetings face to face, and yet still, you come out of there as if nothing had ever touched you. That's something we need to look at very, very seriously. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Harlow.
Hey, good day.
You shouldn't apologize.
I hear
Just
you.
on cue.
Okay.
But see, when you know you're speaking truth, don't never apologize. Don't care who it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because the Bible tells you
Mm-hmm.
the truth will set you free.
I hear you.
Mr. Penland was the common man touch.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it right.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yeah.
But I ain't want to touch too much on the Pope because he's foreign. He said what he would have said, and people testify about him
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Well, you see, before the Pope born, we must take our cue from the Bible.
Yeah.
Jesus set the standard, the pace, how man should live. But because iniquity is in the hearts of man, they don't want to follow what the Bible said. And the Bible is right there. The written word is right there. So why you think all these war and things happen and stuff like that? Because man believes that they is in charge of this earth and they do what they want to do and they don't regard God. And the Pope is crying out for the water stop in Ukraine from ever since.
Yes, that's correct.
But those leaders then believe that, hey, I ain't listening to what this man say. We gonna fight this war and we gonna fight it to the end. The man dead and the war still going on.
Okay. Wow.
Look out in Israel. He was crying out for peace.
Yes.
Even Mr. Donald Trump. The other day they kill up all kind of little trainers. It cannot stop. We must follow the prophecy in book of Revelation 22. It tells you God is going to sort this problem out.
Yes.
Only God one can deal with this. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you, Colin.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
for your
Appreciate it.
contribution. Yes.
Boy.
Let me just put it. Let me put it this way. We need people to set good examples. All right. That's why you have a guide to go by, the Holy Bible, which is the Word of God. And I think this is what the Pope tried to explain to people and cause them to understand. There must be a standard for leadership. And that standard is service. Service to all who you're supposed to be serving. But if you're going to take your position of responsibility and use it for your own personal benefit at the expense of the people you're supposed to be serving, then you shouldn't be there in the first place. You shouldn't be elected. You shouldn't even be appointed to that position. Because all you can end up doing is making life miserable. Why have a leader in position who's going to make life miserable and difficult for people when they can have it better? See, if we didn't have it better, that's a different matter altogether. But we have an opportunity to make it better. This is Professor Sidney McArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. We're discussing the passing of Pope Francis of the Catholic Church, and you may want to express some sentiments about that, how you feel about it, and of course, what your situation may be in terms of you see the Bahamas moving forward and with the church and the world at large. This is Professor Sidney McArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break. And no matter how many times it may happen, you never know what may occur at any given time to an individual. It is a sad occasion. We have to take it very seriously. And what happens after death? Where do you go from there? And this is why we need to know the scriptures, because the scriptures explain to us from God's point of view what happens to the dead. And of course, some people have lived their lives in a riotous living. Riotous living is not going to be good at the end of your life. And we've had some people who committed suicide in the Bahamas, some attempted suicide. That seems to be increasing in our country, and something has to be wrong somewhere. Obviously, people are having some very serious problems, and I think this is what Pope Francis was trying to work with to deal with the downtrodden. Bahamians, a lot of attention has got to be paid to the average person who is out there suffering, scrapping for a plate of food, cannot pay their rent, cannot pay their light bill, cannot pay their water bill, and other bills that are keep piling up, not able to maneuver properly in this society. And so people are left helpless. And so it's the duty of leaders, persons who want to serve, who desire to serve, have the authority to serve. But it seems to me as if when you look at it again, it's persons who are taking that power and authority to enrich themselves, Bahamians. This is not the example set by Pope Francis. Even though he had a lot at his disposal, he wanted to be a simple, ordinary human being with humility, to serve with humility. How many of our leaders are prepared to do that? You will see it in their actions. You will see it in their behavior. And that is the best way to know people. Yes, you would talk to the head of the Catholic Church. And then what do you do after? What are your examples like in your own particular country? This is the way the world operates today. They're preparing for war instead of preparing for peace. We have some very serious problems, and I think Pope Francis in his lifetime tried to deal with that. I know right from the very break when the war broke out in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine, what his feelings were on that. And then, of course, you have the Israeli and Hamas conflict. And what you've had is tremendous loss of life, Bahamians. It's a tragedy. When ordinary people are at the whim and fancy of these particular personalities making very bad decisions, destroying people's lives, what do you think about their family, how they feel? I've heard some comments from people, what they have said and how they have felt. And it seems to keep going on and on and on. Maybe when it's going to end? Even in our own country, when is it going to end? You have people who get the authority, get the power in their hand. The people trust them. Here's another thing that happens. When people trust you, they give you the authority, Bahamians, to say, handle us well. They give you the authority to do good for the people, to do good for the country. And yet you take that authority and abuse the people over and repeatedly, over and over and over again. And I think it's time that the people who have the authority to take it back. That's what we have to start doing. Take it back. Because it doesn't make any sense giving authority to people to constantly take the opportunity to enrich themselves. I think this is what Pope Francis was against. So he uses influence to get and be humble with the average person. He traveled all over the world in all these different countries, setting an example for the leaders of those countries. You mean tell me they ain't got enough sense to say, let us do better? And he was there for 12 years. 12 is a complete number. So they had enough time, Bahamians, to make a sound decision or sound decisions and good judgments. The leader was right there. Now he is deceased. We'll yet see what happens after the new pope is elected. Brother Hyla. Go ahead.
While we are reflecting on Pope Francis,
Yes.
My mind goes on a Francis that we have right here in the Bahamas that may be overlooked. That's Reverend Dr. Diana Francis
Okay.
of First Baptist Church. I mean, I'm not a part of the fellowship, but I see the work. I believe Cartwright may be part of that
I
fellowship,
think he is.
if
Yeah,
I'm not
he's a part of
mistaken.
that fellowship. Yeah.
So now we have a situation where you're reaching out to the community. You're feeding the community as much you can on a regular basis.
yes.
On a regular basis. You're clothing the community on a
Yes,
regular basis. There
yeah.
are other pastors doing it. But the reason why I hold her up at this time, and Professor, you would know that some people, I'm not even going to get into the conversation with women leaders in church. That's a whole other thing. We could deal with
Yeah,
that.
we could deal with that
we
another
could,
time.
we could row over that another time. But I believe she's a Deborah. The Judges, the book of
Yes.
Judges.
Yes.
Just to put it in a nutshell for now, and I'll
Yes.
tell you why I brought up her name.
Uh-huh.
There was a time when the men were not doing right in Israel,
Yes.
and God raised up Deborah to be the head judge. There was no king
That's right.
at the time.
Yes.
So Deborah really led Israel.
That's right.
There were men in Israel,
Yes.
So why would God raise up Deborah? And all of Israel recognized her authority. She set up office under the terebinth tree.
Yes.
And wherever she was, people knew that she was the authority.
Yes.
And she judged Israel with wisdom and with the heart and with the mind of God.
Yes.
That's what God wants. People who are obedient, men who are obedient. So I'm not saying there are no obedient men out there,
Yes.
Because we have now Bishop Walter Hanschel. He is feeding people. He is
Yes,
clothing
he is
people.
doing that, yes.
So I say again, the same way you ask the question, are other people not watching Pope Francis and
Yes.
learning that this is what God's done?
Yes.
God wants done?
Right.
I'll say the same thing about Reverend Diana Francis and Bishop Walter Hanschel. Are others not watching and understanding that this is what God wants to make sure we take care of everybody?
That is correct. I believe we have a call on the
Yes.
line. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, good afternoon, Professor.
Yes, sir.
And good afternoon to all your guests, and good afternoon, Bahamas.
Hey, good
Yeah.
day.
Listen, I ain't touching that woman pastor, boy, because
Yeah, don't touch that.
I ain't touching that at all. But let me say what I can say. Listen, I know what Corinthians, where God say, I won't let the woman teach a man, but I ain't touching that.
No.
Me go on my point, but listen, I can touch it a little bit. Listen, the best woman pastor I ever still preach, I know what the Corinthians say, but Ellen Maxey, boy, I never hear a man preach like that woman.
She's something else.
Man, she can preach, eh? But
She's
listen,
something
I
else.
call for that. Let's leave that alone.
Let me just make a comment on that. She has now, you could say, stepped back.
Yeah,
Pastor Kellen Russell. So there is a man leading that flock now.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
But
he is mighty as well.
Yeah. I ain't changing. That's what I call for. But so you can know when you ain't gotta be puzzling when people die or when I go, you can see. I'm gonna say the scripture before I forget. You would line up everybody with this. You ain't gotta be around the bush, beating around the bush, asking questions. Oh, when I go, you can line me up with this. St. John chapter 14. He said, listen, if you love me, keep my commandment. Don't change it. Don't put your commandment on it. Right. Don't do the people down the road commandment on it. A lot of people do some good work. And boy, I remember, I just can put that there. And I'm gonna tell you one person I like, boy, who saved mankind. But don't put save a woman pastor, Esther. All us will have been gone if it wasn't for Esther stepping in. Yeah. Man, Esther stepped in at that time. She had gone to the king because that fellow was so deep in the king. He had the king heart. He was so steep.
Right.
Esther then, and when you go to the king, you know the king is doing. The king is killing. If you the king don't put that rod out to you,
right,
you're dead.
That's right.
And boy, when you see Esther, he said, and guess what? That man had a plan in place to kill everybody. Yeah. So we got good women, but I can say this. St. John chapter 14. I ain't gonna change it. I just can go to God word, and everybody could do that.
Right.
Y'all have a blessed day.
Blessings.
Thank you very much.
Let me tell you why I raise up First Baptist right there on Market Street, Coconut Grove area. Because see, not only with pastoring, if a lot of people don't know, Diana Francis is a leader, possibly the leader, president of the Student Christian Movement. So she has tentacles in the schools trying to encourage the children to turn to God. And those that have turned to God, they have a group within a particular school, the Student Christian Movement. So this is very important because, Professor, and I'm saying this based on myself volunteering inside the schools, right? When you don't have God in the lives of these students, why are you surprised when there are weapons or alcoholic beverages found in the bags, or a little herb, whatever the case? I'm just saying that a lot of things happening in the schools, and it's increasing, more when the children are not led or ministered to in a strong way with the presence of God. And I'll say it this way: there's I need you all to understand that we need to overcome our enemy in a lot of different ways. We need to be more like God. We need to be humble. We need to reach out to those that are not as fortunate. When it comes to these students now, Bahamas, hear me. You can't have two cousins in the same family, but one cousin goes to, let's say, a Christian school, where there's, Nassau Christian Academy, where there's St. John's, whatnot. You can't have that particular student, on average, excelling in their behavior and in their academics. They're excelling. But then you get another cousin going to a particular government school, same family, grow up together, maybe even the same age. But then you may have one cousin that is not in an environment where God is openly taught and everything. What I'm trying to say is, our school grades, Professor, our school grades. So we're just gonna say, oh, the one who go to such and such a school, they get a D average, but the other one would go. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying on average family. This is what I'm trying to say. On average, those that are encouraged to do right and are taught God, not all, but the majority have a better behavior. I hope that's fair, and I hope you all understanding what I'm saying. Take the children before God. I won't say leave them there, but take them before God. Y'all can't be surprised if they want to wind up or they don't want to stay home. I mean, every time they turn around, another Marco's a light, or whatever the case is. No, man, what's happening here?
Yes, you're right about that, Brother Hyla.
And they will learn from the humility, Professor. Let them learn godly humility and
Yes.
serving one another, rather than who have the best looking here.
Right.
Oh, I need who have I want a girlfriend, or all this type of thing.
Right.
We are allowing the young people to live and just drift away from God more and more and more, and then we surprise when their ways are unsatisfactory to us.
That is correct. Yeah.
No, man, train up a child in the way that they should go.
They see a proliferation of things, physical things that people want. They see something, they just want it. I know growing up as a child, my mother and father didn't allow us to have any and everything that we may have seen or looked at. A lot of times we were denied certain things because my mother and father would not allow you to have it. It was not probably even good for you at that particular time. My father never, he had 6 boys. And then 3 grandboys. That's a total of 9. The point is, he would never allow his sons or his grandsons to have anything to look like a gun. And that's how we grew up. Never, not even a BB gun. But they used to put them little things in and shoot them.
Professor, these days, Professor, I've experienced where the young boys in the class, or whatever the case is, the teacher bringing up their book week, and they, not one or two, a few,
Yeah.
they drawing guns in
Yeah.
class.
Now that's
They drawing in the back of class, drawing a gun.
that is a very serious situation. I
We have
believe
a-
you have my
we have a
producer
call.
telling me you have
Yes.
a caller. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, good afternoon.
Wonderful, and good afternoon, Commander Hyla.
Yeah.
Hey, good day.
Very interesting topic. But
Yeah.
you know, Hyla, what has gone wrong? We have lost our way,
Mm.
and we have gone whoring after
Mm.
false gods.
Wow.
You see, we have gone whoring and seeking after false gods.
Wow.
All the nice hairdos. Remember when the young girls used to put curlers in their hair? Grammy taught them how to do that and how to fix. No.
Mhm.
I remember when one time ago when you see a woman wearing high heel shoes, we used to laugh at her.
Mhm.
You understand me?
Mhm.
We be down flat on the flat ground till she twists her ankle. Man, I almost dead that day when
Mm.
I see that. You know, we have gone whoring after false gods. And our government's corruption, greed, and all of that stuff, non-transparency, has led us to this, because how in the world you can complain about a child have a little half pint in his bag and one joint hidden in his socks
Mhm.
when you look across the road from the school is the bar
Okay.
and the
Okay.
pusher man right on the side of the bar.
Yeah. Okay.
And time as he get out of school,
Mhm.
past that bar, he might sneak past that bar,
Mm.
50 feet down the road is another bar.
Okay.
And then you walk complain, but we walk complain about the children doing things.
Mm.
We have gone horrid after false God. Thanks
Wow.
for taking my call.
Wow. Thank you
Yeah,
for the
I think-
contribution.
Yeah, the caller's made
Look,
a significant
listen,
contribution.
While we're on the subject, Professor, because we're talking about an appreciation for a person with a spirit like Pope Francis,
Yes.
with that humility and just looking out for the other one. The principle from the Bible is leaving the 99 to get the one.
Right.
Leaving the 99. If you have a group of people and one go astray, he said, go and get the one.
Yes.
Go and get the one. Bring that one back into the fold. Professor, and this goes back, I'll have to go back 2 years, going back into 2023, 2022 and 2023. Every year there's been an increase among our children. There's an increase of incidents, problem behavior. I'm not speaking nothing over the children. I'm just reporting on what is happening, and we, to get a hold of it, we need to do what we're supposed to be doing. That's why I raise up Diana Francis' name. The importance of a person like a Reverend Diana Francis. She's only one woman. She's one person. But if more people were doing what she's doing, if more people, if more fellowships were adopting a school, you know, I got reports that there were fewer church institutions taking interest in going into the schools. Now, I haven't heard any problem with nobody wanting to collect money. The churches love to collect money. But this money is collected to serve the people and to make sure that we have resources inside. That's the purpose of it. The purpose is a storehouse. It's like that gone out of many churches. I'm not beating up the churches. I'm just saying what we're supposed to be doing. And then we're so surprised that we haven't, community problems and problems with our young people. My mind goes on to Carifta. Professor, I was overjoyed. First of all, when I thought I was overjoyed at the performance of our young people, soon as I thought I was overjoyed to hear one of the top performers on our young Bahamian team, when they put the mic in his face, he said, well, thank God. You just have to thank God. I said, man, oh man. I said, we have a bright future. I said, that young man, Mr. Neely, I'll call his name, and on another day we could send shout outs, but really a congratulations for Carifta, good behavior. Quite a few of the young athletes, just got to thank God. They are not ashamed. They are not, plenty of them, not shame. Oh, just thank God.
I'm delighted to hear that.
Yeah, didn't have no injuries. Even some that did not win a medal. We came through with no injuries. Thank God for that.
Yes.
So you got to mention the other side of it too.
No, that side ought to be mentioned.
Yeah,
because
man.
sometimes we do not accentuate that which is positive.
Yeah, yeah.
We accentuate that which is negative. And that's not helping the country.
No.
When I would ask for possible solutions to problems on the constituency level, I always get callers to kind of twist that and they start talking about the problems.
Okay.
All right. So we're right
Yeah.
back spinning wheels again instead of dealing with the issue. Like the first caller mentioned about whoring after other gods. He was quite on target with that.
Mm-hmm.
We have to recognize that there are some things that we are doing we need to stop. That's it. We do not want to admit when we're wrong. Now, that is a major problem in our leaders, the people who run this place. The man will tell you he ain't doing nothing wrong. What you mean? The heck you doing nothing wrong?
All right.
We know you're not perfect.
Yes.
We know you've made many errors.
Right.
I would like to call them national sins, but that's what they are. But the point is, when you have leaders who say they've done nothing wrong, they continue to do wrong. They're not following the example of Pope Francis. They're not being humble. They have authority. They have power. They are pompous. They're greedy. They're selfish. So the little fella on the ground keeps getting mashed up because they're whoring after other gods. And those gods tell them, you grab and catch as much as you can for yourself and leave that other fella there, let him die. That is the problem we have in this country, and we need to change that. And I think that we can. It's just that we've got to get people to wake up and understand what kind of quality leaders we ought to have. Because we need humility. We need people who are going to admit when they're wrong. We need people to come back and apologize. Remember those people when the last election we had, general election? Men who told a pack of lies to the people of this country. We got their names, We could go right and check the record, see who the suckers were, who lied to people and didn't come back to apologize to them. And they want to raise their ugly head again? To talk about trust them again? I believe you have a caller. My producer is telling me. Caller, you're live on here. Go ahead,
Professor,
please.
I appreciate you putting me on so quick because I'm on the cell right now.
Okay.
I'm here down by the NIB building trying to get my 70-year-old pension again.
Okay.
But this is what's going on in the Bahamas today. And I'm also in touch with your show today. That while I was driving down here, y'all mentioned so many things. I think I even posted on Facebook.
On Facebook.
Yes, I appreciate that.
That we have wandered so far from God.
Yes, we have.
We have, Lord, I'm coming home. You know the song, right? And I was saying to the people, when I was 17 years old in 1971, the biggest show we had on the whole radio was this place called the story called The Fergusons of Farm Road.
Yes, we had that. Yes, I remember.
And
that.
you could walk, and I said you could walk from Wolf Road, and I used to live on Soldier Road, Old Trail Cemetery.
Yes.
Now, that walk is a long walk, right? Because I was 70 years old, I could do that, no big deal. But you know that every house you pass, you could hear the story till you get home.
That's correct.
Right.
Because we were one people.
One people.
And God's blessing to his people is, I will make you one people, and I will be your God. But
That's
look,
what
we
he
got
said.
around here right now. You don't even know who is who right now today.
That's correct. That's correct.
We have divided in so many areas. I'm talking volleyball, Saxon.
Yes.
I'm talking Laker Dolphins.
Yes.
I wouldn't even mention PRPF and them.
Oh, that's
Catholic, Anglicans, all them. We are so divided.
Yes.
We are down to voodoo and Rastafarian now. I don't want to put Rastafarian. I don't make them sound like that kind of cult. But that's what we have among us right now. We're so divided. We can't be one people. We all wandered too far from the, like your gentlemen always tell you, the old landmark.
That is correct.
Thank you very much. Like I said, I'm here.
Yes.
my guy ain't been cut off yet. I do it there. I'll tell you tomorrow if I made it or not.
Yeah, thank you.
All the
Thank you very
best.
much.
All the
God
best.
bless. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for
Yeah.
that caller there in relation to what he's trying to. Hopefully, he'll get that check.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of people depend on that check. When the time comes to pay it out every month, people are looking forward to that, and you see them form this long line. The need is there, right? We have this is what Pope Francis is trying to tell the people. You're not taking care of your people.
Right.
That's the problem. We have to fix that. It takes humility to do that. We've got to stop electing leaders. Now, this is something the electorate can do in this country. Stop electing leaders who do not look out for your interests. You know exactly who they are.
But
The record is right there.
The promises sound sweet, though, Professor.
No, but that don't mean nothing. It does nothing for you. Bahamians got to learn to understand. We've been through this for 52 years. We got to stop this foolishness. We can't go by what people say. We have to watch what they do. And this is what Pope Francis was trying to tell the people to understand. You have to be humble. You have to be submissive. We don't see that humility in our leaders. It's just not there. And so we have to make a decision. Bahamians, we can make a decision on that, following the example of Pope Francis. This is Professor Sidney McGarta, Walter Thompson, on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. The lines are open, 3260271, 3260272, 813-0271. Call us, and let's hear what you have to say. We'll be back after the break.
Express Yourself Live will return right after this.
9.5 FM. We're going to play another tape again from our local leaders. But let me just say this before that comes on. You have to listen carefully to what your leaders say. I always say, listen carefully to what they say, but what would they do? Because people say some things and they don't do. I have a problem with that. Particularly when the people trust you, rely on you, depend on you, give you all the authority that they could put in your hand and say, handle us properly. And yet still we don't get it, Bahamians. Why continue to support people who cannot or refuse to do better? We got 52 years experience, Bahamians. 52 years of independence in this country. July of this year. And we have the same foolishness over and over and over again, while others are setting example like Pope Francis. You talk about the man, you talk about the good example. Well, what about you? What the heck are you doing to help the people of the country? Mr. Producer, play the tape, please.
But his legacy was one that moved the Catholicism from dogmas and to one where love and compassion reigned.
As you know, Pope Francis was committed to climate justice, was focused on small island states in particular and the challenges that we face.
And he, of course, I hope he followed the tradition of great men, Pope John, Pope Benedict. And I'll always remember his famous words, which remains, one who has mercy does not fear death. And those words resonate with me on his passing.
You know something? I listen to these leaders we have here locally, and I ask myself if they're just mouthing words. Okay?
Professor, why you say that?
No, just listen to what they say and watch what they do. Who talking about compassion and mercy? Where do you see that in this country today? By the people who were sent there to take care of the people's business. Where's the love and compassion? See, don't come talking words, just mouthing words, but you yourself have the opportunity to do better, and you're not doing better. Why do we have all these problems then? Where's the love? Where's the compassion? Where's the mercy? Where's it? See, those are the things that bother me. That's why I keep saying to the Bahamian people, listen to what they say and watch what they do. You have a government today in this country where they have the authority, they could go in that house and change anything and everything that's working against the Bahamian people.
Mm-hmm.
So why are they not doing it? Nothing is holding them back. They got 32 out of 39. And you can talk about mercy and love and compassion. Come on, man. Let's see it in action. The Pope was doing it. So how the heck you ain't doing it? The man been there 12 years. And some people had it 52 years. And we're still playing games for him. See, that is what bothers me. And I think the electorate need to wake up and realize we have been deceived, we've been misled. And Bahamians, it takes the electorate to do something about it. Because you see, you can't wait on these people anymore.
Well, Professor, I think I'm agreeing with you. I think we're still in denial. A lot of us are still in denial about what we are experiencing.
No, I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
That's why I say all the time.
They come from us, so we believe in.
No.
They have our best interests.
Yeah, they come from us.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, when you see the record of what they are doing,
Mm-hmm.
you hear what they say, and then you listen, you watch what they're doing to you.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the problem I have with them. Yes, the man had compassion and mercy, and he demonstrated he should. How the heck you ain't doing it?
Mm.
Where's your love? Where's your compassion? Where's your mercy?
Well, let me throw one out there. It's just the latest thing over the last couple of weeks. I'll just throw one out there, Professor, along the lines of what you're saying. for the police officers of this nation, we know there's a few bad apples. Everybody acknowledge that. The public, the police force themselves acknowledge, there's a few bad apples. They're trying to work
Stop right
on
there.
that.
Stop right there. Who say they got a few bad apples?
Well,
Where's
the
that come from?
former commissioner, the former commissioner of police.
How does he know that?
I
See,
can't
I'm-
answer that
yeah,
on the
no,
grounds that it
I'm-
may incriminate me.
No, but I heard what you said. See, I've
Yeah.
heard that kind of talk.
No, this is
before.
a serious subject, though.
No, but it is very serious. But we
it's very
cannot,
serious.
we cannot be playing games with the people's lives, man. A few bad apples
Yeah.
causing all of this trouble in this country.
Let
Give
me-
me a break, man.
Let me get to this. Let me get to this point
Go
here.
ahead.
Professor, you can't owe the police since COVID-19, man. You can't hold back their back pay for
The man just say love, mercy, and compassion.
so that's
where is it?
So that's why this comes to my mind because of what you're saying. And it's not just the police officers, I'm just using that as an example of when you say, our leader is saying, the love
This
and
is what
compassion.
he's saying, the man.
Yeah.
Did. You watched that for 12 years, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Did you learn anything from it? Apparently not, because the doctor's saying get straight yet.
Yeah.
They still, quote unquote, talking.
Yeah.
The man tell them, you all go back to work.
Yeah.
They went back to work, but they still talking.
Yeah, that's
So
really
what
poor.
are we saying? What are we
that's
saying?
poor.
What
And it's
what-
dangerous when it comes to
It's
the teachers.
extremely dangerous.
Think about the teachers, Professor. If you don't have happy teachers, how you gonna have happy students? If the teachers are not treated well, this thing go, in a cycle.
Yes.
You want them to be happy, encourage, and push our nation's future. But you're
That's
not
right.
pushing them.
Yes.
Between the nurses and the teachers, they got to be looking for another country to go to. And everybody's so silent. Why are we leaving this beautiful Bahamas in droves? Why is Grand Bahama come down from over 60, 70,000 people to numbers like 40,000 and declining? And they don't even have the same amount of people approaching NIB and social services in Grand Bahama. That's on record. The numbers are down. That's dangerous. I mean, are the numbers down because things are suddenly bright and everything is perfect now? Nothing changed, Professor.
Yeah.
But the people stop going for the help. What's that saying? It's like
That says a lot.
it's like they give up. No, man, not in this beautiful, blessed
When
Bahamas.
I
No,
heard
man.
them talk about how many attempted suicides.
No, that's oh man.
I am beginning to change my view. I said Bahamians are not supposed to be committing suicide.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe some things are happening that I didn't fully understood
Okay.
when I made those remarks
Mm-hmm.
previously. So I may have to adjust those remarks
Mm-hmm.
because I keep hearing the fella 60-something and he want to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
What are you saying, man? You were supposed to be what they would call a senior citizen.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on in this place?
People under all kind of pressure. Professor.
Where is the mercy? Where's the compassion? Where's the love? Where's the humility?
See, that's what would bring hope to the people. Helping the people. That's what would bring hope and inspiration to the people. And that's what we need. Professor, going back to the teachers for a minute, right? Professor, right now, I looked at an event, right? Over the holiday weekend. The event was so large. This is not a Christian event. This is not a godly event. Some would say, well, you're just relaxing. You're just unwinding or whatnot. But the event was very large. A large party, so to speak. We have no large gathering to inspire or to help people, to uplift people. But we have large gatherings to party and drink. Now, when the people party and drink, what they can do after that? What they turn into? Mind you, again, I reluctantly say that Bible says those who are near death or experiencing problems, let them drink. Those that are near death, I don't know if they near death, but people are hopeless, Professor.
Apparently there's a lot of hopelessness because some people ask me, do people know when they are going to die or about to die? And I said that's a very interesting question. I got to look at it from the biblical point of view, and I'm researching that to see whether that is really the case, whether people really know. Because a relative of mine's passed, and the particular person said, "Why are you bothering me? Leave me alone." This is a person who was near death.
Mm.
And that particular person was being helped to receive help. And shortly after that, that particular person was gone. The question was asked to me, do people know when they're about to die? I hadn't thought of it like that. But it came right among where I am.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it that way. That's why I'm saying I'm looking at this suicide thing a little differently now, because I was very adamant and people know what I said publicly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not moving away from that, except to say that something is causing this. When a man's 62,
Mm-hmm.
I want to commit suicide. But I said, what's going on?
Professor, I didn't say it to you yet, right? Because, there was a couple of weeks, maybe even a few months, 2 months at least, while you were saying that. I didn't say it on the air, and I didn't say it to you even when we were off the air. But I have to tell you now, Professor, you're disconnected from the pain of the people. What kind of pain the people are under? Because when the money run out, you have a family around you. Some have a church family around them. You have co-workers. You have a government. And when all these people fail you, where do you turn? Where do you go? Because we done changed now, Professor. This generation is not like your generation.
No, it was not. No, it isn't.
Where everyone was one another neighbors. You raise one another children. That's gone. You could correct somebody else's child. In many cases, some will fight you and say, leave my child alone.
Yeah, they would.
Before they say, what's the problem? And they said, well, that one threatened me. And then you could say, oh, okay. Then you could, deal with things sensibly.
Yes.
Some are not even asking what the situation
No,
is.
they're not asking at all, period. They just rush into
okay,
like
then.
a bull in the china closet.
There are parents. This is so serious. There are parents that prepare to go to the school to fight the teacher I'm not saying all teachers are perfect. I'm saying the teacher trying to hold on to your child, keep them encouraged, keep them doing their work,
right,
and behaving basically.
Right.
And some of us prepared to go and fight the teacher. There are principals and vice principals that have been assaulted,
Yes, they have.
Some of it has come forward to the national news. Some of it has not come forward.
That is true.
Why would a vice, and again, I'm not saying they are perfect, but you got to be able to resolve an issue without violence.
Yes.
All of this is away from what Pope Francis is trying to teach us through humility and just looking out for one another, reasoning through things.
Yes.
We could do better, man, Professor.
No, we could do much better because I know how it was even when I was growing up, but obviously there were some things I might not have seen clearly why this is happening, because right now it's happening too frequently now. And if it's happening that way, then there must be something that's wrong with that. Because I said, even among my own family members, I know there's some other issues, but I don't see none of them wanting to commit suicide. Now, when you have older people, when you have younger people wanting to commit suicide, you have to look at that very seriously. Something has to be wrong with that picture.
It's really sad.
Obviously, something is going on in this country where the authorities have to take an active role in dealing with some national issues that affect the payment. You just can't allow it to sit, man.
No, you got to get to the bottom of it.
See, they tell you don't take matters in your own hand, right? They want to rain hell and fire and brimstone on you. But the people who have the authority to correct certain things,
right,
to protect the interests of the nation as a whole, are not doing that. See, I don't want no one talking about what the other fella talking about, compassion and love and this and that and the next thing. But you yourself is in a position of authority and responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
where is the love? Where's the compassion? Where's the mercy? Where's the care that is being exhibited through you and those who are given this authority to do? See, I think the electorate need to look carefully at who we are sending to do our business.
I agree with you, Professor. I hear you about the electorate. Like it's almost like we're playing a game of cards. They say, I see your appeal to the electorate concerning our politicians, and I raise you one observation of what is going on with our children
Yes, you did.
in our schools.
Yes.
So we have a problem among the electorate where we cannot seem to come to an agreement on what type of people, what caliber of people we want to elect.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point that you mentioned. So there has to be a source. Well, then what is this source we're going to look at to give us the guidance, to give us the direction, to give us the understanding? Jesus said, he that is greatest among you must be your servant. That is to be your slave. In other words, to take the burdens of the people on your back and you deal with it. You sacrifice yourself to do it. You have any people like that in the House of Assembly and in the Senate in this country? Do you know of any representative who's doing that, I ain't talking about them fellows who talk about having Easter egg hunting, them kind of crap. I ain't into that. Because I heard one lady came on the radio from a particular constituency, was talking about the Easter eggs and all that kind of thing. Yes, you might get some little chicken and Easter egg and all that. That's not parliamentary representation. Because we have some real problems. After you finish eating the eggs, after you finish eating the chicken, the problem's still there.
Yeah.
Ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay? We need strong leadership. We have to get the right kind of people who can deal with these issues, just like the Pope did in his lifetime. Set the example. Because we can't keep playing games, man, because people are dying. You just had the big shootout just yesterday. Okay? One man killed at Fish Fry, and then two others injured.
Had to be hospitalized.
I know if they got any beds to put them in. I got to find out from the administrator, Princess Margaret Hospital, how many beds they have up there. Because they seem to be admitting people. And I'm keep saying to myself, they must have run out of space by now.
You know, Professor, I want to put another observation out there.
Yeah.
It just came back to my mind. I believe this was last year during the BJCs. Okay. Again, I had volunteered related to the examination process. You have observers in classes as well. And I went on to the campus of a particular school. And I made note, just to put it simply, I just came from Baintown, and over on the other side of town is, it's rough. You know what I mean? It's rough. You can have, a few fights a week or whatever the case is, males and females. And from fights, I went on to another school campus. The school felt like a college campus. The students were more well-behaved, male, female, quieter, more mannerly. What I'm trying to say is we are underestimating the environment of God in the Bahamas and around our children. Whatever or whoever feel whatever God is, fight for that. We happen to believe that God, the God of the Bible, is the true and living God. What I'm saying is, anybody under the sound of my voice, whatever or whoever you believe God is, get that environment around your children to stay. Get them in a school. Well, the whole school agrees with what I agree in. That environment is so rich. You will have a well-behaved child, not 100% of them. I'm saying the majority. This will show you. What did it say, Professor? By their fruit, you should know them, right?
Yes.
Let me tell you all something. I'm saying to y'all plainly, I feel like just saying the school or whatever the case is. But I went, this is the Adventist family. I feel like saying take your children from certain institutions all together, and the institutions that are yielding the highest results, let's put money over there. Let's put money there. Let's give them the responsibility for the children.
That seems to make sense because the Adventists have been setting a very remarkable example for decades. They ain't just started that today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And they have some very strong moral beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
which are helpful to the Bahamian people.
So we could go ahead and add, Professor, between the Anglican schools, the Catholic schools. I'm not saying they are perfect. Let me be clear on that. I'm not saying they are perfect. But if you and they could be expensive too. We don't all have the money. But if we could get a handle on this money thing, because all of our children are important, and nobody's child is better than anybody else's child.
That is true.
So if we could all get them in a strong environment, it is worth the fight. Where's this passion coming from? My two sisters are educators. Dr. Andrea Hyler Kelly, Dr. Marlene Hyler, she's passed on. Marlene has. But these two women are generals in education. And the government has assisted them. Professor, hear me clearly. These women take the 7th grade students to the BJC hall. 7th grade students to the BJC hall. And the student coming back with a C or with a B. I'm not talking about 1 or 2, This is the culture of a particular school. Some, yeah, but no, hear me in the spirit. Understand what I'm saying. Because there are other schools that are performing in a similar way. I'm trying to say them same 9th grade and 10th grade students that coming back with a D or failure. They don't have to be failing is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Humility, love, patience. You can't have them in all kind of, they go into school with the worst lyrics in the world. They got to be hearing in the morning before they go to school, Professor, whether it's on a bus, on a private vehicle.
Yeah.
They got to hear nastiness in their ears first thing in the morning. Right after school, they got to go right in the car. You turn up the music with the highest. They got to smell whatever aroma is inside the vehicle.
Okay.
You cannot have the same result, child, if you have a environment that is full of vices.
Okay, fair enough. I agree with that.
It's two different things. You can't have it. You bring them up the way God say bring them up, you can get a good result. And I leave it right there. So it does bother me to see that we accepting D and F. Oh, well, let's see if we could get them a trade. We let the devil fool us. Some of these same children, you're thinking they can't do the work or whatever the case is. You take them out of that environment and you put them in a richer environment, starting with God ways and humble people and joyful people, not no screw-faced people, whether they have a Bible or not. Face screw right up, cross, fussy.
It takes a lot of effort to go through that too.
They say it take more muscles to frown
Too much.
than to smile.
Yeah, too much.
But let me back off of that. When you have men and women that are humble and patient and kind, this is how the children will respond better.
Yeah, I think the children need that kind of environment from the adults, from responsible parenting, from individuals who are prepared to set a proper example.
Our teachers are
That's what is needed.
more valuable than we know. More
Yes.
valuable than we know.
Right. And it's unfortunate we have adults. And you talk about that incident where you had this large group of people doing some other funny thing.
Yes, yeah.
And unfortunately, we have that in the society today. And that contributes to a whole lot of problems. And I think we have to make up a decision that we've got to do something about these crushing social issues that affect our people. And this is what Pope
Francis,
utilized during his 12 years as the Pope of the Catholic Church to deal with those issues. They are issues that affect a vast majority of people. We need to pay attention to it. This is Professor Sidney McCarter, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break.
Express Yourself Live will return right after this.
Calling all veterinarians, pet lovers, and animal care professionals. Join DLEAP for the inaugural Pet Stem Cell Conference, May 3rd, 2025, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Goldwyn Hotel Cable Beach. Discover the exciting future of pet healing with stem cell therapies, AI breakthroughs, and precision medicine for dogs, cats, horses, and more. Hear from world-renowned scientists and veterinarians, Dr. Jonathan Lakey, Dr. Adrian Muto, and Dr. Omer Thomas.
Issue. Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. This is the last portion of this show. At Bahamians, you need to learn and understand how the new Pope would be selected. We have a tape that speaks to that. And Bahamians, we need to educate you properly because the Catholic Church has systems in place which they utilize going all the way back more than 500 years. And so, Bahamians, it is most important that you understand. We're going to play that tape right now to let you clearly understand. Listen very carefully, because they have now got to choose a new leader for the Catholic Church. Go ahead, Mr. Producer. in giving out information because this is very serious things. We're going to play that tape later on this week as well because there's some things we're going to be discussing. But Hyla, go ahead.
You know, um, Professor, our nation was founded on Christian values. Our nation, even in the letters, I've had a chance to look at some of the letters that were written between our founding fathers. They they intended, even understanding that not every nation was holding up God. Not every nation was holding up God, but they decided that this is who we would be. You know, not everybody may even like this line of conversation, but it's an important line of conversation, and it is the most beneficial to everyone who is listening to us out there. This is the most beneficial direction for us as a country. You know, Professor, I've been looking at ZNS uh, and seeing that they put young Christians as singing songs, you know, after the news. I have to give a shout out to that particular network. Is the nation's network. But where else? I cannot even think of that happening, you know, in America. I can't think of that happening in too many places. We have the nation's public network is supporting young people expressing their faith and their personal belief, you know, during or after the news time. That's where we're supposed to be heading.
Yeah, okay.
That's what it's supposed to be all about. For our mind, you know, to be focused on doing what is right, because we need help.
No, plenty of.
I've heard you say
Plenty
many times, Professor, the hardest thing for a person to do is to admit they are wrong and then change.
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, what doesn't help is, Professor, we are so quiet when people are obviously wrong or doing wrong.
Now, that's a good point you raised right there.
Why are we so
We're
quiet?
too quiet when people are doing wrong. Right in your face.
The Pope spoke up against the war.
Yes, he did.
And here it is. We have all kind of war going on around us.
From the time that broke out, I remember Pope Francis speaking to that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with the Russians and the people of Ukraine. I remember when the army was lining up right on the border.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't moved across the border yet. And they were trying to get them not to go across the border.
Mm-hmm.
The Russians still came across the border because that's all land territory right up in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they invaded Ukraine.
By you saying that, Professor, just to shift to this, how important it is to stand up to what is wrong.
Yes.
The Russia and Ukraine war. Professor, the last country that behaved like Russia was Germany, Professor. And I saw reports recently where Germany is saying we need to rebuild our army. We need to spend more money on war instead of what Germany is known for, high technology. High technology. So Russia is causing Germany, not to say we want to be like Russia. The point is, we got to protect ourselves.
That's true.
So that is a result of not standing up against what is wrong. Now, Professor, we have not stood up against the wrongful immigration policy in this nation. We have not stood up against it.
That's been going on for 52 years.
So,
right from day one.
So now we are saying, oh.
When you have the government of the Bahamas violating the supreme law of the country, that has to be taken very seriously.
But we are quiet.
Too quiet. But there were a group of concerned citizens who said, listen, it is our responsibility on behalf of the Bahamian people to take action. That's exactly what they did. And when they brought the document to me, say, Professor, what do you think of this? I examined the evidence. And I saw where they were constitutionally or could be constitutionally sound, because some corrections had to be made to it. And I added my name to the list because I knew they were constitutionally sound. I had no doubt in my head. I never regretted signing the paper because I knew someone or some people had to stand up and do something, whereas people who know better, who are trained, legally trained, over the last 52 years, ain't stand up yet. So what does that tell you?
So the judges are saying nothing. The Bahamas Bar Association, now you can't say they're not saying nothing now. When the legal year starts, you would get a comment and then...
Yeah, but then you see, you may get a comment just like some other people who sit with the minister, the Attorney General, all the time and meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and we don't see any results from these meetings. So what does that tell you? What is all this talk about?
Professor,
When you see, hold on. When you see hardcore evidence in your face.
Right in your face.
Okay? These people have meeting with this one, that one, the next one. Huh? What is the result of these meetings? Do you see any real changes? Do you see any real benefits coming to the Bahamian people as a result of all these talks with this minister, that minister, the next minister? What are meeting to do what?
Professor, we are in a rut. Let me use this example, Professor. The same thing you're saying. Let me say it another way. We had Carifta on the weekend, right?
Yes.
We love good performance. Our government is not putting in a gold medal performance. When I say government, I didn't say party. I said government. We don't have a gold medal performance. We don't have a silver medal performance. We don't have a bronze medal performance. We don't even have a ribbon performance. When we can have an international organization like the Inter-American Development Bank, who we get money from, who we get advice from, consultation, say we are number 17 out of 26 with a score of 37 out of 100. Now, any parent whose child bring home a 37 out of 100, you happy with that?
No, we're not. Let me
Professor,
just
we have a call.
We have a call on the line. My producer told me that. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, we say, Professor.
Hey, what's happening, man?
Everything good?
Yeah.
Co-host.
Yeah, that's Brother Hyler.
Hey, good day.
Professor.
Yes, sir.
You know, I was sitting down. I have two things I want to bring across you.
Yes, sir.
You know, when the next World War comes out now, it could be nuclear, right?
Yes, it will be.
But I wondering if these countries, them sitting down, the people we have in charge, that if their country is ready for nuclear.
That's a good question.
You understand, like, Pom?
Yes.
If something happens right now, we ain't ready. So I can tell you one thing: that place where they build downtown, the place where they build on Shirley Street, the embassy.
You're talking about the embassy?
That's why they're going deep in the ground. See, our government people don't understand what's going on.
Are you telling me they have different building codes for the embassies?
Man,
strangers building.
That's a different land right there.
Well, the same.
What do you mean? Wait, hold on now. Wait. What do you mean different land? This is the Bahamas. What kind of different land?
No, he's talking about the function of an embassy.
So that means now we have the embassy doing things in this country that are not according to our building codes. Is that what you're telling me, caller?
Man, Professor, you should know.
No. I'm listening to you. You see, because that is something I'm looking into now. Because I can't understand the government of Bahamas allowing these strangers, foreigners, aliens, and outsiders coming in here doing things that they won't even allow me to do.
I understand.
You see how close we are to this water?
Yeah, I know.
And they went very deep in the ground.
Mhm.
I don't know of any Bahamian having the opportunity to do something like that.
I doubt that.
You see what I'm trying to tell you?
Mhm.
So what's going on? We got a different code for the American embassy. We got a different code for that other embassy for the
I was gonna say, because when you mentioned embassy, I was thinking you meant the one that's closer, right downtown, and the other one out by
The
Yamakro.
two of them are near the water's edge.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
So what are we saying?
Professor, you could pull a submarine right up into one of them.
But the thing with Professor, the Chinese and build it on old Montague, and I think they going that deep.
I said Yamakro, but I meant Montague.
Yeah, Montague. Yeah, no,
Montague.
I think they going that deep.
you have a point
We
there.
don't know. We don't know.
We don't know how
that
deep they gone. They may have
because we
gone
don't even
straight to
know.
China.
I live close around there, and I never see buildings. I only see walls. Them. I never really where they start.
Professor laugh.
I don't know what about them.
Caller, we don't know how deep they gone.
That's what I'm telling you now. But I can tell you one thing: this next war can be just nuclear. Everyone.
No, it will
It
be
ain't gonna be
nuclear.
going no sending no soldiers or nothing more like that.
No.
It will be nuclear war. That's
but
that's
point too.
going to happen. Yeah.
Mhm.
But next point, Professor.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Right now, these days in time, right now, they say the Bahamian don't wait. But listen to me good, man. Everywhere right now they have foreigners, all in the hotels, all in the restaurants. Everywhere they have hundreds of foreigners them waiting inside them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Professor, I talk about hundreds, and some of the people complaining, but they scared that they might lose their job. But I tell them they can't be scared because Professor's my friend.
Yeah.
We can rule that out.
Definitely.
You understand what I'm from?
Yes.
I said, as long as you is not a Bahamian citizen, you cannot take a Bahamian job from underneath them to work for a company, and you only working for you only get a working permit. And the thing with Professor, how in the world you can work in a hotel and the government giving working permit to work on the farm or working inside the whole thing?
Yes.
Caller.
You understand what I'm?
No, I understand.
Caller, we hearing you and we understanding you. I mean, it's a very strong point that you bring. When you mentioned they may take our job, my mind went right on to both of these administrations have given foreigners our passports wrongfully. Voting rights, birth certificate, passport, everything. Everything.
On the hotel I work in right now, I talk about they get hundreds.
Wow.
Hundreds. I talk about hundreds, and the people them complaining about what they can take. I said they can take your own, but they ain't gonna take mine. I know my constitution and I know my rights.
Yes.
You can't. You understand what I'm and they teaching and learning. These people them working for less than anything. From one Bahamian, they working for one Bahamian can pay two of them. But see, I tell them no worry about that. They ain't worry about that. The law, they know how to they know how to deal with their money. They can make a little bit of money, but they'll save more than you.
That's true.
Right. Yeah.
And they're not saving nothing here. See, that's the thing with the government them giving away all of this work permit and everything and all that, but they get a little couple thousands of dollars every year. So they say. But these people sending their money back home.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And they ain't paying for no rent. They can sit in one house with 10 people, 12 people and run drop out there and buy. We gotta be struggling paying off our things.
No, I agree with you, Carla. That
You know
is
what I mean?
happening. Yeah.
But Professor, we have to look at that.
No, we have to.
Because there's plenty people them just only looking at what they dealing with now, but they ain't worrying about the kids' future. See, like I always tell them,
Yes.
if you got to worry about now, you can't worry about you got to worry about now and later.
Right.
Right. That's correct.
You know what you the seed you planting. That's why a lot of these parents right now, like I was saying on this radio show, that a lot of these parents have to take care of their children with their pension money.
Right.
You're
Because
quite
they
right.
plant the seed. You understand?
Yes,
For the kids to grow.
Yeah.
They only worry about now. They only worry about paying on mortgage and paying on fancy car.
Yeah.
But when all that entire, you know, most houses and things I see now used to look pretty and everything and all that now look like like a haunted house now.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, caller, I have to let some other people on the line.
All right, no problem.
But thank you for your
Appreciate it though. Appreciate it.
Well
Yeah, man.
appreciated. Yeah.
It's very serious.
Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
Okay. Good afternoon to you and your guest.
Hey, good
Yes,
day.
sir.
Good day.
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm calling from Grand Bahama. Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Yes.
Yes. And I hear you keep touching on our government system and our voting process.
Yes.
But my thing is this: as long as the government and the opposition, as we know it to be, just need now sort of in the government, we've never seen nothing change in this country, and especially in these other out islands. The structure needs to be changed where attention needs to be paid to these other islands.
Definitely.
Because I rode out to the airport probably for the first time, and tears almost come to my eyes.
Wow.
That's why no one want to come to Grand Bahama. If you see that airport, tears will come to your eyes.
Wow.
Understand? Things need to be done in our country, and we need to stop flip-flopping between these two parties. And the sad thing, like you say, Professor, people are fixed in their ways. Though we just changed from the other one less than 5 years ago,
That's right.
people are then crying, we need to go back there. Why? For the same thing, what's going on now?
Yes.
Like you say, we need to look at people as individuals and start to put them in power and see how things would be done. We can't continue to just go back and forth with what we've been doing because it ain't making no sense.
Carla, I could agree.
Not at all.
I agree 100% with what you just said. There's a way to deal with it, and I'm going to go in depth into that because I'm trying to get Bahamians to understand what the Constitution says about governance in this country. There are some very specific articles that deal with the way the country is to be governed, and the governor of the Bahamas is not following the Constitution over the last 52 years. People need to understand how serious that is.
Right.
And we have sat here.
Yep.
But this is why 7 Bahamians came to see. We got to take these personalities to court.
Right.
We say we got a judiciary, but then we can prove just how serious this judiciary is.
Right. That's it. So then they're breaking the laws.
They've been violating it for 52 years consecutively from July the 10th, 1973, right up to now.
Right.
The government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas has been violating the supreme law of this country. No ifs, no ands, no buts.
To take care of themselves and their friends.
Well, we can fix
they
that.
Don't care about the majority of the Bahamian people.
Yes.
And like you say, foreigners come in this country and they have more privilege than me.
Well, that's what the caller just
all
said.
my names and everyone even laying back to Bahamian over 100 years.
Yes,
Miller, Smith, Munnins, all that's me.
Right.
And then you know foreigner in that.
Right.
That's true. Okay, caller. Well, I hear the music in the background. My producer tell me.
Yeah, please call in another day. Thank you.
Okay. Brother Halle, you want to make your comment before we close?
Listen,
my producer saying I got a little time. Go ahead.
Yes. None of us are perfect. Pope Francis was not perfect, but he is very inspirational. He set a good example. He is a light to the world. He is a light to say, well, you know what? You matter. You matter and you are important. And we need more leaders who will reach out to the least, who we look at as the least among us. Those who have the less, man, everybody has much to offer. Can't wait to talk to you all on another day, but be encouraged. Don't do nothing crazy. And if people treating you bad, dog don't bark at Parker. So tomorrow will be a brighter day. Good day, y'all.
I have to stop right here because my producer tells me I got out of time. This is Professor Sidney McArdle. Walter Thompson will be on tomorrow. We're going to continue in this same vein about the Pope of the Catholic Church. This is Professor Sidney McArdle, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back. No, we're going to go off now because I got a little mixed up there. This is Professor Sidney McArdle, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. Have a pleasant afternoon.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio station.
This is 99.5 Global FM, your number one source for R&B in the Bahamas. Yes. This is Global Radio.